Tony Bachman is here. Tony Bachman, Team Keller Williams. Plus, you were sharing a little technology, some of the things that you're doing, people going through a house virtually, even doing it with inspectors.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
found that interesting.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about how the face of real estate has changed a little bit in reference to the way we have to do business, and then also the way buyers and sellers are doing business. And I was just sharing with you that I had a couple that are moving here in the middle of July, that they contacted me in the middle of June and said, we're moving there. We're just thinking about looking at a couple different houses. We're probably going to rent. And I said, well, give me your criteria. I sent that criteria over to their, we have a client portal, buyer portal that they can access. And they said, here's like 2 or 3 that really, resonate with us. And I ended up doing like a FaceTime video tour with them. I mean, they had the access to, the listing, but the FaceTime video tour give them the ability to kind of say, okay, well, let's spend a little time like in the closet or in the master bath and, and talk about some of those things. And they had such a high comfort factor. Instead of renting, they decided to make an offer on one of the homes. And then after we made the offer, we had the home inspector right away set up. And we did a FaceTime with the home inspector after we're doing our wrap-up with the home inspector. When they get done with their inspection, they spend a couple hours, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, inspecting a home. And at the end, you get a summary with the home inspector where you get a chance to do a walkthrough. The buyers get a chance to do a walkthrough with them for about 10, 15 minutes. And we did that. They were very comfortable with where we're at and what's happening, even though they've never physically seen the home.
First question I had when I heard the story, general age of the people that were doing the virtual side with you.
I think they're probably in their late 40s, early 50s.
Now, that's a little later in life than I would have suspected. I would have thought maybe they would have been a lot younger, that didn't want to have to take time to get in and out of a car, go inside houses. They wanted to have the look that a wife has when she goes into a kitchen she loves, and she's got that cat eye approach and say, oh, this is me.
Yeah. Well, I think that I've done this a number of times with different clients over the years where they're having to relocate to Sioux Falls for their work or business. And when they get here, they'd rather not make 2 moves. They'd rather not have to move into an apartment, be there for, anywhere from 3 to 6 months or maybe even a year because they want to get the lay of the land. They just like to move into a home. And so we give them all the information in reference to neighborhoods, what's happening, school districts, that sort of thing. And then they get to make an educated decision on whether or not they want to do this. But I think I've done this like 3 times so far. So it's to your point where people, they just want to do it online and they don't want to go. I think everybody wants to go see the home if they have the ability to.
Eventually.
Absolutely.
But they want to rule some out before they
Oh, yeah, and that's what we're doing with everything that we're doing now and with the technology and with the virtual walkthroughs, that sort of thing. It's enabled people to, instead of having 10 or 15 homes that might fit their criteria, they can say, you know what, these 2 or 3 really resonate, and these 2 or 3 really are interesting to us. Let's go take a look at those.
Took an interesting call, a Father's Day call, from a grandson who is an engineer in his first year, starting his second year. He's in Madison, Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I'm wasting money renting, but I've got to pay off my student loans. And I sat down and I wasn't happy with what I was seeing that I was going to be throwing away. And it was like, why are you doing this? He said, because this is a long-term deal. Why would I want to sit there and just cool my jets in a place that it's not even mine?
Right. We're seeing the coronavirus is one aspect of that, where people are wanting to get away from some of the higher density living, where they have just a lot of contact with a lot of people. So that's one aspect of that. The other aspect is, interest rates being what they are. I mean, right now, when I just looked those up here, interest rates a year ago were at 3.84%. Now, these are average because I know there was interest rates you can get higher and lower, but on average, that's where they're at. Today, they just lowered here just recently. They're at 3.13%, which is just about 0.75%. And that's a huge factor because what you have is the rule of thumb is when you have 1% interest, like a reduction of 1% interest, you've increased your purchasing power by 10%. So example meaning if you were looking at a $250,000 home and the payment was, let's just say it was like $2,800. Now with the interest rate dropping to that 1%, you can now buy a $275,000 home and still have that same mortgage payment. So that's why we're seeing, and the market's reflecting that right now too. I mean, those two factors are huge. Our area has not been affected as much in reference to the coronavirus and the activity in the market as some others. Like I'd mentioned last time, I have a relative that works in New York City. Their market's kind of shut down at this point.
I loved the question. He said, is a 3.1% interest rate a good rate? And I wanted to take him back a few years, but I didn't. I said, it's good, but it might even get better.
Yeah, there is talk of interest rates getting to 2.5. Now, until it shows up, until it really is, because I know the people are always hedging. It's like, well, do I refi or do I, look at closing on a home now? I would just tell you, we're at record lows. And whether you lock in now at 3.1 or 2.9, you are going to be very happy with the end result.
Let me give you Annette's report on the parade of homes. Apparently, the builders thought traffic was up, though they don't have exact numbers yet. We'll have those later today. Building permits are steady in Sioux Falls. Builders are excited to start planning with homeowners on their next projects. And they're getting a lot of people that are jumping in. We had a guy that was on last week, Todd Boots, who had 12 blueprints sent in 1 week.
Yep.
You find that's pretty typical?
I see a lot of interest, a lot of activity when it comes to whether it be a remodel or, the refi or the new construction. Because of that same reason, people are able to leverage this lower interest rate. And it's just making sense at a high level for them. The other thing, too, is I think we've seen a little bit of the trend toward people realizing that after these last couple months of being at home, they started to feel like there was maybe some deficiencies of their home that they had. And not that they don't like their home. It's just like they could see where if they were to build and customize a home to their liking, they may, benefit or be able to, work from home. I mean, and that's one of the things like Doug Topp, who is the chair for the Parade of Homes, he'd indicated we're seeing a lot of emphasis on homes that, have home offices, and then also maybe multiple decks for people to be able to enjoy their outdoor space. Even a trend towards some larger homes, because there's even a trend toward multi-generational families under one roof.
The Parade of Homes for the fall, they're now looking at a virtual tour option, which makes a lot of sense with what you said earlier.
Yeah, I think we've had this conversation with a number of business owners and things, where they don't want to come across as being irresponsible, just like the home builders don't want to come across, or the builders as irresponsible by having that, because there are some people that have this high disposition to potentially contracting this, and it could be serious. So the whole thing about whether you wear a mask, when you're entering businesses or at different locations, that's a personal choice, I think, unless, of course, the business mandates it. And then the thing with having the virtual tour, I just see a lot more people spending time, doing those virtual tours. We've been doing the virtual walkthroughs on our listings, and we just see a lot of activity with those.
You're also seeing people looking outside of Sioux Falls to smaller communities. What's that trend?
Yeah. No, I think you have a lot of people that are looking at these smaller communities, and we've had that for a while. But I'm also, we're seeing people from out of state that are taking and looking at South Dakota real hard. So, I mean, we're getting from both sides. We're getting people because they think Sioux Falls is a small community, so they're interested in moving to Sioux Falls.
So, with the report card show we have in a couple of weeks, what's it going to show for 6 months of the year?
Well, we had record pace for the first 2.5, 3 months. We were on record for
and then
just blowing everything out of the water. And then, and then we had this whole thing where we kind of had to do this knee-jerk reaction. And then since then, now in the last month or so, we've been on fire. And even the home builders can tell you, they can't build them fast enough. They get, what was it, how many, 6 or 8 plans that were turned into them, saying 12 plans that they wanted to have. So, it's representative of our market. We've been very lucky in our marketplace that we've had good activity and, people have been gainfully employed. Now, obviously, there's certain segments of the market that haven't experienced that same. I mean, unfortunately, you have the restaurants that are suffering from, this. They have the airlines, tourism. I mean, South Dakota's doing their best to try to make sure that people know that we're open for business, and it's a great place to come. But I also know you have a lot of people that are like, maybe we just wait, So all those different segments of the economy are definitely feeling a little bit of effect in reference to the downturn. But in the real estate's going hard and fast.
The tours themselves, people wearing masks, being safe, people that have the homes, making sure it's clean. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I see a real mix. This last weekend, we had one of the parade of homes that we were attending, and we had a mix. I would say that out of 10 people, maybe 2 people wore masks. So, I think that's, again, personal choice, and as long as it makes sense for them, and then we also had the hand sanitizer there for people to spray their hands and that sort of thing, because I think that's, that's not only for the buyers or the people looking, it's also for the people selling, because if people are grabbing doorknobs and that sort of thing, yeah, the hand sanitizer is a big plus.
Tony Bachman, how do they reach you?
Our Facebook page is Tony Bachman Group, and my cell number is 605-201-5998. Thank you, Bill.
We didn't have any trouble finding a topic, did we?
Got another hour?
I wish we did.
All right.
Thanks.
Bye.